The Taurus new moon arrives on May 16th, and what it is asking every single one of you is this: what have you been building your life on? And is that foundation actually yours? Taurus is the architecture of worth, the body, the material world, the values you live by, often without ever having consciously choosing them. A new moon in this sign does not simply invite beginnings. It asks you to look honestly at the soil your decisions are rooted in. Taurus lunation is one of the most grounding activations of the year. It operates slowly, quietly, beneath the level of drama. But that is precisely what makes it penetrating. What surfaced now has been forming for a long time. The new moon simply bring this into the light. I'm going to take every single sign through what this lunation is excavating and what your strategic directive is in response. Stay true to your sun and rising sign. That is where the activation lives most directly in your body, in your daily choices, and in your architecture of your values. Aries, Sun and Rising. This new moon activates your second house, the architecture of self-worth and your relationship to material life. The shadow this lunation illuminates for you is the pattern of building momentum as a substitute for building security. Moving fast has kept you from sitting honestly with what you actually have and what it is actually worth. Your strategic directive is identify one area, financial, creative, or relational, where urgency has been making decisions on your behalf. The pattern to dismantle is the one that equals speed with strength. What you build with deliberate patience across the next 6 months will outlast everything you have rushed. Taurus and Taurus rising. This lunation rises in your sign. The activation is personal, embodied, and direct. A new moon in the first house is always a question of becoming, especially of whether you are inhabiting the version of yourself you have chosen or the one you inherited. Your strategic directive is name one quality you carry in how you move through the world, in how you make decisions, or in how you present yourself that was never truly yours. That layer is what this new moon is asking you to seed. The first house presence, not performance. This 6-month cycle begins with you. Gemini and Gemini rising. This moon falls in your 12th house, the unconsciousness, the interior landscape, what moves between the surface of your daily identity. What its surface will not arrive loudly. It will come as a quiet knowing, recurring through a feeling that rises in stillness, something your body registers before your mind can name it. Your strategic directive is resist the urge you translate this activation into language too quickly. The 12th house does not reward immediate articulation. In the days around this moon, simply observe what surface, a pattern you have been rationalizing, a grief you have been converting into analysis. What you find here is meant for you and only you. That is where the real work begins. Cancer and Cancer rising. This new moon activates your 11th house, community, collective belongings, the people who witness your becoming. The shadow this lunation illuminates is the habit of withholding your full self from the spaces that matter most to you. Pulling back before the connection has the chance to ask anything of you. Your strategic directive is identify one relationship or collective space where you have been offering a partial version of yourself. Ask what that withholding is actually protecting. The part of you that has been kept out of that space is precisely what this moon is asking you to bring in. What you plant now in your community life will produce its fruits by November. Leo and Leo rising. This moon lands in your 10th house, career, architecture, public identity, legacy. The shadow this lunation brings to the surface is the gap between what you project professionally and what you privately know yourself to be capable of. The performance of authority in the absence of full self-trust. Your strategic directive is ask what your career would look like if you stop editing your capacity for acceptability. The 10th house under a Taurus new moon is about grounded material ambition, the kind that builds, not the kind that performs. What you being constructing in your professional life across the 6 months window has the potential to become the foundation your long-term legacy stands on. Virgo and Virgo rising. This lunation activates your 9th house, belief systems, worldview, the philosophical framework you live inside. The shadow here is the inherited philosophy, the set of beliefs about what is possible for you in expression, in love, in your larger purpose that you received from someone else and absorbed it as truth before you had the tools to evaluate them. Your strategic directive is locate one belief about your own ceiling. What you are allowed to have, how far you are allowed to go, what you did not consciously choose. When you find it, you will feel it as a contraction in your body. That contraction is the signal. A Taurus new moon in the 9th house is an invitation to plant a new philosophical foundation, one built from your own experience, not handed down. Libra sun and Libra rising. The new moon activates your 8th house, shared resources, intimacy, and psychology of exchange. The shadow this lunation illuminates is the place where accommodation has become a structural feature of your relationships, where maintaining harmony has quietly displaced your own center. Your strategic directive is name one dynamic, financial, emotional, or relational where the exchange has been consistently unequal, and where you have been observing the imbalance rather than naming it. The 8th house does not require dramatic action. It requires honest recognition. What you acknowledge clearly in the days around this new moon becomes the ground your next 6 months are built on. Scorpio and Scorpio rising. This moon falls in your 7th house, committed relationship, the mirror of the other. The shadow lives in what you have been protecting outward rather than integrating inward. The qualities you keep encountering in your closest bonds that reflect the unfinished work in your own architecture. Your strategic directive is practice radical self-ownership around the recurring dynamic in your most significant relationship. The 7th house under the Taurus new moon asks for embodied honesty. The question it places in front of you is, what are you still building yourself around that no longer belongs to who you are becoming? Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. The new moon activates your 6th house, daily structure, the body, the rhythm that builds the life over time. The shadow this lunation brings to the surface is the cycle of intensity and collapse, building momentum and then dismantling it before it compounds, because a sustained structure has always left like a constraint rather than a foundation. The strategic directive is design once more repeatable practice in the days around this new moon that holds you to the ground without asking you to shrink. The 6th house under Taurus, it's about sustainable architecture, the kind that moves slowly and always builds. What you begin here in the body and in the daily rhythm becomes the container everything else is built inside. Capricorn and Capricorn rising. This lunation lands in your 5th house. Creative expression, authentic desire, the self that is allowed to play. The shadow this moon illuminates is the severing of joy from your own story, the belief that what is serious and what is pleasurable must remain separate, and that permission for the later must always be earned first. Your strategic directive is name one desire you have been managing rather than living, one creative or relational longing you have been holding at a disciplined distance. A Taurus new moon in the 5th house is a direct invitation to plant something in the soil of your own enjoyment. The 6-month cycle that opens now is asking you one question: what are you actually building this for? Aquarius and Aquarius rising. The new moon falls in your 4th house, inner foundation, emotional architecture, the home inside your own space. The shadow here is the intellectualization of feeling, the habit of observing your emotional life from a critical distance, covering experience into framework before it has been fully inhabited. Your strategic directive is sit with one feeling you have been analyzing rather than living inside. The 4th house under a Taurus new moon asks for presence, your full embodied presence inside an experience you have been watching from above. That willingness to be in the body of the emotion rather than above it is where the actual dismantling begins. Pisces and Pisces rising. This moon activates your 3rd house, your voice, your message, the stories you send out into the world. The shadow this lunation excavates is what has been cut from your expression. The truths you have been softening, translating, editing into palatability until it became something rather than what you originally meant. Your strategic directive is, in the days around this moon, say one true thing you have been preparing used to say. The actual version, not the careful version. A Taurus new moon in the third house plants the seed of a more grounded, embodied voice. What you begin to speak from that place in the next 6 months will carry a different kind of weight. The kind that reaches people because it came from the ground rather than the performance of certainty. Taurus new moon is not asking you to move quickly or to transform dramatically. It's asking you to stop and look honestly at the ground you have been standing on, the values you have been living inside, the foundation you have been building from, and whether any of it was actually chosen. What you plant in honest soil in the days around May 16 carries the energy of this lunation for the next 6 months. Drop your rising sign in the comments and tell me which part of this activation is speaking most directly to your current chapter. Stop running the old blueprint and start building the new one.